Zeef buys Ranch as a drink.
He says, "Talk to me, boys. I'm sure I won't be of much help, but, well, you're more interesting than anything else going on around here."
I don't suppose he'd know anything about what the stormtroopers are up to, why they've mobilized. He's kind of like has such a disdain for them. I doubt he'd be keeping tabs on like their day to day.
Says the Queen Bee has something in her bonnet, and now she's got all her bucket heads stirring the waters down in town. He narrows his eyes and he says, "Aren't you supposed to be in charge down there?"
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing about Imperials showing up. Power changes hands pretty quickly. It gets real murky.
His gaze shifts over to Xavix. He goes, "If only we had a specialist in dealing with Imperial problems."
I mean, I could always help out.
Says, "Don't go causing any bloodbaths, man." But just get everything wrapped up. I understand they're supposed to leave once this race of yours is run, Mr. Silverstar, but now if they've got something to look for in town, I'm sure they've got another reason to stay.
I think right now they have a little bit, but a single soldier shouldn't really, stop an entire group from staying. I mean, be an excess, but we'll see how things go. We still have to get them out, though.
No, but I don't think a single soldier is an insufficient excuse for them to attempt to occupy the town.
You think they have something else they're occupying for?
Says, they're Imperials. They occupy, Mr. Silverstar. Perhaps you don't understand their mindset. Your youth is maybe a detriment in this respect, but that's what they do. They come, they take. If you give them a reason to stay, they'll take it. Then more of them will arrive.
Then
We're only on the very edge of hut space, Mr. Silverstar. Says, yes, but I understand if you give them reasons to leave, you might draw the attention of the huts. He goes, I'm not part of the little.
About what's going on.
Says, I might not be a part of the little club here now, but that doesn't mean I wasn't always a member. I understand it's a dangerous time in the galaxy for all sorts of people, and you don't necessarily want to draw the wrong kind of eyes to yourself. He looks back and forth. Either of you goes, I know the huts are distasteful, but compared to the Imperials, they're practically a stable power structure in this part of the galaxy. And right here on the edge of hut space, they provide a matter of safety. We have our independence out here, but only because of the stability they've provided on the planet. He shakes his head and says, it's not an easy situation, but, well, things are getting worse, Mr. Silverstar, and I'm old enough that I'd rather see them getting better in what time I have left. He goes, you've been good for this place, Zeef. Things were been better here for the last 5 years. Let's maybe make sure they stay that way.
Zeef looks at him and says, if you think that's up to me, you're dumber than you look.
He says, if you think that it isn't up to you, Zeef, then you underestimate yourself.
Zeef just kind of rolls his eyes and walks away from the conversation.
Yeah, as Xavix finishes his drink and walks out towards the turbolifts to go back up to the suite.
That's fine. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll just follow. That was my one thing that I needed to do was talk to Junior, which turned out to be a bust. So I'll just follow Xavix wherever you need to go.
All right. He heads back up to the suite. All right. Stomper and N4 are nowhere to be seen as you enter. But by the time you've crossed into the main part of the suite, she comes out of the storage room and says,
Master Silverstar, I wasn't expecting you back so soon. Did everything go well with Captain Sood?
Yes, I think it went pretty well. It looks like we'll have the ship, and looks like they've been working on it for a little bit. It seems as though the rings have been finished too. I just have to take care of a few more things, and then I should be done as well. How about yourself? How have you and Stomper been?
A droid can't blush, but she certainly seems to find all sorts of other interesting things to look at here in the suite, except for you or Zeef for a moment, Xavix, and says,
oh, he's very interesting. I haven't been outside of the club, and he's done many interesting things. It was an interesting afternoon. I
Stomper, you dog.
I'm sorry. I think I need to update
that was
my
three
vocabulary
interesting and one
software. She heads off over to the terminal and cuts off the conversation.
All right. I think I should go to the office and see if I can contact. You know what? Can I pull up a map of the area or the island? I can
Yeah.
see if I can make the race course.
Yeah.
Should I handle that off camera, or should I do that during this, or say that I'm working on that, and that way I can roll to see if I can do that?
So Kintera has been doing all kinds of exploration in her time here, and sort of she uses these systems to store that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a computer check that you can make now, or at the end of the time that you spend doing it. If we like transition to Worram instead, you know what I mean? It'll be a computer's check to bring all that data together out of this system. And
I think it'd be better if he did it.
That's fine. You can wait till he comes back anyway. You might want a pilot's eye at this anyway.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to make Xavix make these checks to plan the race course by himself anyway. That's why there's a pilot in the club and racers around and stuff, you know. I know it's not your area of expertise. Most of what you've been doing is delegating, but you're also the master, so you shouldn't be doing all of the tasks. You just have to make sure the tasks get done. You've got turtles to turn wrenches for you. All right, Worram, we're going to come back to you so that you can make a hard mechanics check. You're going to get 2 boosts from Captain Thude's assistance and his very full tool suite. But it's going to be a hard check to bring this ship up from its 5-year slumber to flying fit. Everything's new, but not used, and you don't want anything to like seize up, you know, when you hit the ignition switches. So, it's 2 advantages, but it turns out that the ship has been 5 years is a long time for a fighter to sit. You know what I mean? Even a brand new one. Perhaps some of this stuff should have been drained instead of left. He wasn't intending to leave it here for, you know, when it was moved, certainly he goes, but once I was able to put her out of my mind, it gave me some peace, frankly. What's come out over the time is that, like, this was such a nice gesture, but nobody knew that he wasn't going to be able to fly this ship, and it ended up being, like, just so painful to, like, you know, to have at this point. But yeah, it's not getting airborne this afternoon. Yeah. Captain Thude is also a little let down. But he and Rathamith will accompany you back to the expat club via the gondola, and they can summon a car, you know, from there. And it'll be a couple hours back. You know, you find that the guys, Captain Thude is super interested, like, in your entire history and lifestyle and everything about it. Once he's gotten to know you, because it's just so different from everything he knew. Because he's old enough that he grew up on Adamar before they made, like, contact. Yeah, exactly. Like, he was a spaceship pilot, and that was, like, the coolest thing in the world. And then all of a sudden there was galactic civilization. But he was a spaceship pilot. Yeah, but he was a spaceship pilot, he also
like
got
a
to be
delivery boy like Fry.
Right. But it was cool to be, like, the point of contact for them. And at one point he says...
I know, I'm just saying, but, like, you know...
He says he wishes that his people had made contact with yours instead of either of the sides of this galactic war. He goes, I have no idea who I would be if that had happened instead. But it just seemed like more of the same once we got to the stars. The societies that found us were a very painful reflection of my own. Seems completely unlike what you had.
Yeah, I think Worram would kind of turn to him and said, yeah, Ithor's always tried for the third way, the third option. You know,
he nods.
Finding that path that isn't, like, clearly illuminated kind of thing.
He nods, and this is like a revelation onto him. And he goes, well, I'm an old man, but I'm not suited for the tasks that I was made for. anymore. Maybe I need to consider a new way myself. Thank you, young man.
I'm taking this guy along with us when we're leaving planet.
That's fine. That's totally cool, man. Absolutely.
I like Captain
So
Previous.
you guys have a long ride back, and there is another stretch hover car waiting for you. So Xavix and Zeef, you guys have some time because Worram's going to have to make his way back the long way.
Okay.
Before he can rejoin you. So Xavix, go ahead and I know you don't want to make the computer check yet, so I'll just tell you that you definitely have here in front of you sufficient data that you've been able to pull up with topographical scans that Kantera has, that someone with the skill to do it could assemble sort of like a holographic projection of the island that you would be able to use to position these race rings and move it around and fully Tony Stark this kind of thing, and get that set up, which would also do well to present to your
Let's do that.
those guys. Excellent. So once Worram makes his trip back, he can assist you with this, because the difficulty is still going to be hard to assemble this map, and then you'll get a boost though because you've got all that data ready for you. And if Worram, you wait for him to come back and see sort of that Xavix has all of this map
So
stuff.
this is to find the race course or what?
No, I'm sorry. Stomper was going to help you with the computers to put the
That's
map
right.
together, and then Worram is going to help
Stomper
with
would be better at
right,
that,
because it's going to be
but I
a
mean,
piloting knowledge type thing to plan a race
Yeah.
course, I would think.
All
So
right,
we'll have
Zeef
Stomper
keys for
assist.
Stomper to come down and assist because Stomper's been up in the suite the whole day since you guys got back from shopping.
Once
comes
you
over to
key
help.
him, Zeef, Stomper fucking struts out of that storage closet. He just had hung back there smoking an e-cig the entire time after N4 left until Zeef finally keys for him after Xavix has been working on the computer for 40 minutes and is like, yo, I need Zeef's help. Or I need Stomper's help. And then you key for him. So 40 minutes later, he struts out of the storage and gives you a long... And then you're like, go help Xavix. And he waddles his little ass back there. So Xavix, you're going to use your intelligence to set the number of dice, but you're going to get 2 skill ranks of computers, and then you get a boost from all your topographical data and a hard difficulty to assemble this holo map so that Worram can make a piloting check and plan a race course for you when he gets back. And that's what you're spending the time while he travels back doing. Business Xavix is working with his executive gonk assistant. So you did not succeed, but you have an advantage. So you do not put together a 3D holographic map of the island from this topographical data that you found. But you have an advantage, so you still have pulled together all of this data. So Worram is going to get a boost to the harder check to plan the race course without a 3D holo map. So he'll get a boost, but he's not going to have a much easier check because you succeeded at making a fancy 3D
working
map.
off the spreadsheets.
Can I
Exactly.
also give him a boost from those 5 advantages that I never spent from the beginning?
Absolutely, sir. You can give him another boost from that too. Yeah,
Cool.
certainly.
Awesome. Sorry, Xavix. I totally should have given you one of those, but I didn't think of it until just now.
Xavix,
You probably could have used one too.
You pour over this stuff with Stomper for what it's easily an hour and a half to 2 hours while Worram makes his time back. You don't even have to guess. It feels like 2 hours because you spent 2 hours working on this alone and with Stomper. And at the end of it, you go, I just don't know how to convert all of this massive data that Kantera has into something that would actually be usable and helpful, damn it. But at least I've got all this data that maybe Worram can make some more sense of, and he's going to get a boost from that. At that point, Worram returns. He's looking... I don't know. Tell us how he's looking as he comes in. Zeef, you see him. You're out in the public area of the suite.
So Worram is... I'm just going to describe his appearance a little bit. So he's kind of you can tell that he's been up to his elbows in fluids and oil and everything, but it has been he's there's been an attempt made at scrubbing part of it off, but it's still all over his clothes, and and he's not happy necessarily, but he isn't like he knew that this was going to be like a job and a half,
Right.
to get this thing flying after so long. But so he's not like, it would have been great to get it working this first afternoon, but he's not like, oh man, he's not depressed or anything. So
Yeah. Plus, you got to spend the day working on a starship, which you were not expecting to
So,
do.
like, he hasn't really had a chance to do that since the land speeder got buried. So, and starships are definitely more his speed than
Right.
the land speeder.
That's what I meant, is that you had your hands in a starship that you're going to be flying in like the next day to day and a half. You know what I mean? So it was a good day. It just wasn't like the day it could have been.
Yeah.
And as nice as the conversation was, it couldn't help but continue to like the guy just kept asking about you, and that's a painful subject, but like you were fascinating to him. So like he kept going back to it, sort of. Worram comes into your office, Xavix, looking a mess.
Well, hello, Worram. Welcome back. I hope that you found the hangar space available to you.
Worram kind of gives a big sigh and says, well, fortunately, didn't need the hangar bay tonight, but hopefully no later than tomorrow we'll be pulling that beautiful ship into its berth. But took a little bit longer. It's been sitting up in that hangar bay for a long time.
Well, that makes sense. Well, feel free to use a refresher and tuck it in tonight. I think we're just waiting for Quintera and Narset to come back eventually. I haven't heard from them in a while.
They should be back today, but they have been out of contact with you completely at this point. You could try to raise her on her comm. It would just take a check to do, because like it's not just Verizon or whatever. But
okay, use another one of my boosts.
A handheld comm link can talk from the surface of a planet to a ship in orbit. And across a Death Star. You know what I mean?
While he's doing that, Worm is going to use the refresher.
Absolutely, to clean himself up.
Sure. Yeah, use
any
another
strain
boost
you took
from me.
during the mechanics, you're going to get rid of. It's going to be another computer's check, but Stomper is willing to help you as you're trying. You're actually trying to use the main comlink built into your desk to raise them, and you find Quintera's. Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna say, like, the Expat Club probably has like an actual antenna and stuff.
Right, and they know the frequency for Quintera's comm as well, because it storms over the windward side of this island constantly, and it might be a blow-in right now, or she might be in that cave at the moment. But instead, you triumphantly succeed. And you calm Quintera and Narset as they are back in the Crab Walker after their day of meeting these tribal Salvax and exploring the caves. And she's there, and we can have a live call between you and Narset Jin.
Sweet.
Who is speaking via voice to a tiny projected hologram of Xavix Silverstar that is on a portable communication device on the counter next to the hot plate where dinner is being prepared by Quintera, as previously established.
Well, hello, Narset.
Mr. Xavix, how fare you all?
Oh, we're doing quite well over here, getting a bunch of things done. How are you? We haven't heard from you in a while.
The outer the outer reaches of the various fisher towns has been quite fast, and we've hit a little bit of turbulence, but something that we weren't able to work through. Currently, we're in the hub of the second Selvac village and have spoken to both the shaman and the tribal leader on this side. Is it that you are all working on?
I continue to work on the race while Worram has started working on his ships. And Zeef, what have you been up to?
Not much.
Zeef wanders in.
Killing some people. Wanders out again.
It's been interesting.
Narset looks over.
Kintera looks up and
Narset
goes,
looks over
she mouths,
as
"Did he say
Kintera,
3 people?" Like,
both of their
silently, yeah.
eyebrows sort of look up at each other at the mention of, oh, just casually killing people.
Right.
I didn't say casually. I'm working, but to be blunt, I'm killing people.
No Jedi.
Yeah, definitely
Anyway,
not a Jedi.
When should we expect you to come back?
That looks over to Kintera, trying to.
Kintera
some
makes
sort of
like
time
an I don't know. The math is however long you spend here plus 2 days travel time back based on how long it took you to got here, you know, but who knows how long the
Probably,
you actually
we're
spend.
probably not gonna make it for your race.
Oh, okay. Fair enough, then.
There are other things. There are other things here that seem larger afoot. A large creature in a volcano, and the shaman is very upset about the factory has impeded on they consider their natural climb. I still have yet to discover more of what it is that brought us to this planet in the first place.
Well, shall you need my assistance?
Slowly,
Feel free to hit me up.
do likewise.
All right.
Right.
Kintera,
call- Yeah, she's there.
is she coming back or is she staying there too?
We were traveling at the same time.
Yeah, she's Narset's ride, so they're probably both gonna
Oh, I see.
stick together.
Okay.
Yeah, Kintera is perfectly content to stay here for like a fortnight before going back. You know what I mean?
Set up camp.
Like, yeah, exactly. This is what she does. She finally got here. You know what I mean? So she doesn't care about a spaceship race. That's not her bag, man. But she doesn't verbalize any of that. She's like standing on the other side behind the hologram, even though it's only one way hollow, and she's just waving, like making hand signals in response to his questions to you. She's like, I don't know when you're coming back. No, I'm staying here. You know, like she gestures around at her walker. It's like, you're in my Winnebago now, bitch. You're coming back on my timetable.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, you got Jedi crab stuff to do over there. All right,
Sorry,
Stomper,
sir, you have Jedi crabs.
Jedi crab. Yeah. So all right, with that completed, the comm call breaks off, and Xavix miniature representation dissolves in a burst of static. Then you and Kintera eat, talk about wants and needs, and have the rest of your evening. Narset, Worram, you've cleaned up in the refresher, and you're going to have to make a piloting. I think a combined intellect piloting check would be appropriate to plan a race course using
that works.
ranks of piloting, but your intellect for the base skill. You have a boost from Xavix's data that he has assembled, and another because Zeef, I don't think, has given them all out yet. You gave out 2, right, Zeef?
2 so far.
All right, so you've got Zeef's last boost. The difficulty is going to be hard. There's also a setback because there are only 8 race rings, and usually, you know, a race of any decent length has more like 12 to 16 race markers, and the GM fucked that up. But if you succeed, you'll obviously have a satisfactory, you know, race. You can also get another boost because there's very interesting terrain here on the island. And another setback because you know that the huts are going to want, like, I believe they already mentioned that they would want, like, you know, a good show or whatever. So it's going to have to, like, be visible to people in both the expat compound and the hut compound, you know,
Yeah,
at
cross-streaming
various
service
points of the. Well, no, I mean the race track needs to physically go past both of those places so that people in those physical locations can watch the race because they came to the planet where the race is happening, kind of thing. So that causes a setback because it's a restriction. So you got however many I said, you know, 1 from the data, 1 from Zeef, a setback from the race rings, a setback from the other thing, a boost from Stomper, and then your intellect pilot skill thing, and 3 purples. So 2 setbacks, 3 purples, 3 boosts, and your die pool. So you look at it after being up to your elbows in a starfighter for the last 4 hours, while being peppered with questions about your personal history. You know, recent tragedies and all. You were not expecting to have to come and do like a spatial relationship geometry puzzle, like first thing after washing your hand, coming in the door. So you look at this data and you're seeing all the pieces, and you definitely see that it fits together. You know, like there's a volcano, there's cities, there's a bay full of monsters. It doesn't matter if it's a short track. You've got all the elements here for something interesting, but it's just not there.
Like place.
Yeah, right now. So you'll have to approach it again with fresh eyes and mind tomorrow. Maybe considering, whether you do that or the mechanical labor, in which order, but it's just not coming together at the moment. The track's not there. You've got all the pieces, but they just don't click yet.
I'm sorry, Master Silverstar. I can see all the pieces, but it's been a long day already, and I'm just I think I need to look at it fresh in the morning. Maybe it'll all come together then for me.
Well, that's understandable. We have time.
Right. It is getting late in the day. Certainly not everything, that was set out to be accomplished was successful, but, work was made, towards those ends, and the race is coming together more than it was. What other early evening priorities do you have, gentlemen, here as things wind down at the Expat Club?
Zeef doesn't have anything until the next morning when he wants to make his way back up to the landing pad, so he's probably just going to turn in.
That's fine.
I don't think I have anything to do either.
Okay, that's all right. Worram?
Worram decides to meet back up with Captain Food down in the bar for a drink before heading to bed himself.
Nice.
Okay,
Nice.
excellent.
Commiserate and just kind of continue swapping space stories. So,
Sure.
but I don't think it needs to get into, but just keeping building that relationship.
All right, excellent. As the other two of you gentlemen are having a quiet evening in the Silverstar suite, N4, make sure that everyone, gets their sustenance. Everybody has been crashing on your couches quite comfortably, Master Silverstar, without having to rearrange the internal architecture, after you got it to your liking, which is excellent as far as the Expat Club is concerned. At a rather late hour, N4 informs you that someone is calling. This is after Worram and Zeef have retired. So instead of chiming back into your bedchamber area, you're informed via data slate, and you get a security angle, and you see that Agent Vanko is outside. She hit the call button. She appears to be considering things, but instead of waiting, she strides off to head back to her own suite. And if we flash back 2 sessions, you remember that this morning, as she was exercising the troops, she said she was going to spend the day getting to the bottom of things vis-a-vis her missing troopers, and then perhaps the two of you could debrief each other later.
That's true.
But apparently she spent far longer her tasks, and you've already retired by that point.
Did she knock on the door or anything?
She did. She knocked on the door.
But I didn't hear it, right?
Right,
You've already gone to
it's
bed.
after hours, it didn't chime out to the entire suite, because they've already registered that you've gone to bed. So you just get a notification on your data slate, but she walks away basically by the time you're like, what the hell's going on? Agent Hot Pants is outside. She's leaving. So unless you want to go to the door in your robe to encounter her in the hallway,
Basically was
you know what I mean?
hey,
Your white hair all bedhead.
Right. It's hey, she's calling, but maybe it's too late, so they didn't put it through to you immediately.
That's fine. I'll contact her in the morning. I don't need to chase after her. I don't think we have
N4
to.
decided not to put this call through straight away is probably the canon explanation for that. It's that Imperial bitch is back in. I don't think so. She didn't want her and Stomper to be interrupted by her having the door.
Totally.
is probably what happened. All right, so that rounds out the day for y'all, and we're going to start the next session in the morning.
The morning.
Yeah, so you guys made movement towards getting the starship and the map, and the race route, which will be XP payoffs once they succeed next time when you make those checks again and are successful. So that is burgeoning, and we're not doing the time payoff each time. So we're going to XP next time because we got you guys to the end of the day, and we did the XP payout last time.
That's
for
fine.
like today during the thing. If you guys had banged it out and nailed those checks, then it would be bonus XP. But the dice fall the way they do.